see if I am live. Having some computer problems. Am I live? Anybody's on, say hi. Let me know you're here. Tell me you can hear me. Let me get it up on my phone. On. Ooh, okay. Say hi. Got it on my phone. All right. I think I'm good. I was having some computer problems, so I apologize for being just a couple minutes late. How is everybody today? Hi, Tracy. Hi, Cindy. How are you ladies today? All right, so sometimes when you either order online, when you order Grapevine bases online, or you go to, your local craft store, and they really have a poor selection of grapevines. We're just gonna kind of design around that today because this one is pretty janky. It's really thin in places. Once I give it its haircut, I mean, it's not that it's a bad base, okay? It's just not as pretty as some of the others. So when I run across these and I have to use these, I'm going to cover them with a lot of greenery and stuff so you don't see a lot of the yucky grapevine base. So I just wanted, to give you guys that tip that if all you have to choose from is crappy grapevine bases, then just choose a design that's going to cover most of it. And nobody will be any wiser. I had to pick out a couple of big pieces in there. Hi, Linda. Tracy, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I was a little bit flabbergasted. I was having some computer issues. That's why it took me a little extra time to get on today, and I apologize. But I'm good now. I'm sorry, Linda. I'm sorry. I'm typically on at 1 or 2 Eastern time. I'm Central. But technology today got the best of me for a little bit. So, all right. Before I start, trimming up on this, I want to get my sign prepared. Only because my stapler decided to bite the dust and I can't get it to work. So I'm going to have to, well, you know what? I'm going to ask my husband for help. Hang on with that, y'all. Hey, honey, if I bring you my staple gun, do you think you could see if you could fix it? Well, it jammed, but this is a wood sign, and I really prefer using staples on wood signs. Yeah. So I'll wait and hold off on putting the stuff on the sign, and let me see if you can fix that first. I thought I had the staples out here. Give me just a second, y'all. I apologize. I don't know what I did with the staples now. They were right in here, but these are, oh, there you go. There's staples in it, but it won't actually spit them out.
I'm trying to figure out how to open the thing.
This way. Oh, well, it won't even come open now. Okay, I think maybe it's just messed up. So we're going to move on. Let's go ahead and give it a haircut real quick. And basically all that is I go trim up some of the scragglies. I leave some of them because I just like that look. If you prefer more manicured, then, you can go as heavy or light-handed on the haircut as you want. If y'all hear my kids, I apologize. They're not happy campers today. Thank goodness. They've been on homeschool because of, 2020 stuff. But the Board of Education voted that they could go back on Monday. So today was their last day of homeschool. They've finished up their classes for the day. So they're all riled up. And they're both boys, 14 and 8. So they fight a lot. All right, I think that's about good enough on here. Off the tag. This is an 18-inch Grapevine base. I got this one at Michael's. Actually, I ordered it offline. I placed a bulk order offline a while back. And this is one of the last few that I had saved because it just wasn't as pretty as the others, so it kind of got picked over a lot. All right, now that we've given it a haircut, we definitely see that this side looks a little better than this side. So let's flip it around. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Kathy. Just staple into the corner of my table.
Okay.
Pull it out.
Oh.
I'm gonna try to wind this one back up in there. Sometimes instead of cutting them out, I try to weave them in thin areas. All right. You don't have to, baby. I'm probably just gonna have to buy a new one.
I'm still trying to figure out how to use this one.
Right.
How do you get this thing on? Why don't you just have the other ones that are just easy to?
Well, because that one's heavy duty and it goes through everything I need it to go through.
Obviously not.
Well, not now. It doesn't. It's broken.
But it won't even let the other one down.
No, I know. That was my confusion with it. I loaded it properly, and it's just, it won't make them come out. But you can tell when you squeeze it, it's got the air pressure. It goes poof, and poofs it out. Hi, Lori. I'm just having a technical difficulty day with my tools, with my computer. Okay, so what we're going to use today are two, they call them swags because they've got this little loop on them and you can hang them as a swag. I still call them a spray because they're just a little bigger than a spray. A regular spray of this, so I don't pull down my whole basket here. I'm sorry, that was probably pretty loud. So a regular spray of this is about this much. This is the difference between a garland and a spray. So that's why I tend to use garlands a lot because they're just one big piece rather than having a bunch of these pieces that I have to individually place in. These I did get. I have a local store that is working on a website. They're a consignment / boutique store, and they stock all kinds of juicy goods that they get from Craig Bachman import orders. So it's basically the same thing that you should be able to find at Sims or, all the other online places.
What staples did you use? The one from that box?
Yeah. They're 1/4-inch staples.
Yeah.
Let's get our trusty zip ties. Now, before you start placing, you need to decide where you're going to put your bow, where you're going to put your sign, basically what kind of design you want to do. So do you want to do like I always do? It's just my go-to of putting a bow up here at about 11 o'clock. That's my favorite place. for the simple reason your eye automatically starts left to right, and that's where I kind of want the starting point to be on my wreath, is right there in that corner. So that's why I tend to do that a lot. So I think, do I want to do the same old, same old? Let me think about that a second. Or do we want to try a top on bow? Well, since we're trying to cover this not so pretty grapevine, I really need the greenery to come low. Okay, so that is a determining factor in the design that I also use as well. So it's pretty over here. It could be exposed if necessary, but none of this is really pretty that I want to be seen. So I really need to carry the greenery down here. So that's going to dictate that I'm probably going to do a bow here, just like have a little on this side, most of it, the greenery coming down this side, and then we'll put our sign here in this corner. So take one of your swag pieces here and just give it a curve, kind of the curve of your wreath. I'm not even gonna tax my hands and try to cut these stems. They're brown, you're not gonna see them. I'll put greenery in around it, the bow's gonna go over it. So I'm just gonna leave it on. There's no sense in creating that extra work for yourself. So let me make sure I've got it looking like I want. I do. So my bow's gonna go at 11 o'clock. So that's where I'm gonna put this piece. Make sure it's resting there before I start to tie in. So just take your zip ties. Make sure you're just wiring in your spine, the spine of the swag, and not some of your pieces, because sometimes you can accidentally get part of the pine branches locked up in these zip ties, and then you can't move them properly. So we've got one in. Now we know on these swag pieces, they're longer and they're heavier, so they require two. So I just take, see how I'm kind of manhandling this? And do it like that. Hold it down, take another zip tie. I find that a lot of places you can find similar or sometimes even the same ingredients. So I don't know if you guys were on Lori's first master class last night, but she suggested that supply lists are great if you want to make the same thing, but if you can't find the same ingredients, just use something similar. So she gave some really great advice last night. If you guys aren't signed up for that yet, go do that. She's given out lots of good advice this week. All right, I'm just going to tighten those down a good bit. We're not going to be putting a lot of extra greenery in here on these, just a little bit. So, all right, go ahead and cut those off the back. And just make sure that piece stays turned in a little bit. All right. Whew, we work up a little bit of a sweat. There we go. Now, we do piece number 2. I will hold this up here for you guys. This is the swag. I don't know if we're, let me just call it out. It's XX8069. And that's the only information the tag gives me. So if y'all can search by that, maybe you could find this swag. All right, so we're going to do the same thing for this one. So put a little bit of a bend in it. And you're going to come back and overlap this piece to the other piece. I'm just going to slide that behind a little bit, and that's where our bow is going to go, right there. So we'll zip tie this top part in. I mean, working with these big pieces just makes your project go so much quicker. Because really, if you think about it, what are you doing with the other ones? You're cutting them down into smaller pieces and adding them individually. Now, you'll still do that for controlled placement, like when you need to fill in a hole or a hole or a gap somewhere. But you know, for just getting your base down, something to build off of and start placing elements into, this is the quickest way. Okay, so just manhandle it and shape it to the wreath. And then somewhere down here, you know, near the end, come in and zip tie it on again. So I use 2 zip ties per swag. One at the top and one at the bottom. Keeps going back inside the wreath. There we go. Just turn your pokies up inside so nobody gets hurt. All right. There we go. These pieces are dusted with the most fine iridescent glitter. So it gives the illusion that they're just frosted, like maybe, you know, first frost. So once you get them zip tied on, just come back and start shaping them. I fan them out pretty wide, all the individual branches, because I'm going to come back and place some smaller filler pieces in here. And also when you're fluffing, you know, with something like this that's got the additional pieces on it, you have to be mindful where you're placing them, because you don't want to, they will draw your eye and help skew the shape of the wreath. So it'll make more sense once I get the bow on, and then we'll place those where they need to be. Now for a bow, I always give it a backdrop, something for a little support. So in a case where I'm using a big piece like this, I just pull a couple of the top pieces up, and I will probably put another little piece back here that will stick up a little higher than the bow. That's just going to keep the round shape of the wreath. Hi, Sherry. All right. I have here with me, did I bring more? I didn't. All right, we're just going to use these. I'm going to go ahead and put a hanger on it so it doesn't start turning on me. Once you start to put heavier pieces on a grapevine, it's going to start to move around on you. So usually at this point, it might be a good idea, if you don't want to keep wrestling with that, to just go ahead and attach a hanger. So I usually take some fabric covered wire or some rustic covered wire, but I am out of both of those. I'm going shopping later, so I'll get some, but for right now, I'm just using the thick tinsel ties or stem that comes on a roll. I believe I got this at Craft Outlet a long time ago. I have it in lots of colors. So when you're making your own work wreaths at home with the Dollar Tree frames or something, you can still get the really cool look of those, you know, work frame tinsel ties, because you can get this stuff and it's just on a, you know, in a roll. So I'm using that on the back as my hanger. Now I make sure I can get, 3 or 4 fingers in there because you want it wide enough to fit onto most any hanger they're going to hang it on. All right, so there we go. We got a nice little hanger. Now, a wreath, it's going to hang lower on my stand, but it's not going to go anywhere. And actually, I think I probably should have moved that over a bit. I do. Snap. I'm not in. There it is. So again, for hangers, I would use covered wire of some sort. I typically use rustic covered wire because it mimics the look of the grapevine. But when you're out, you use what you've got on hand. So I'm just going to move this over a little bit. That's all. I want it to hang proper. And by attaching a hanger, it also shows your customer where to hang it. Because I don't know if you have gotten pictures back from your customer and they've got it hung upside down or sideways, and this will prevent that in most cases. Now, sometimes I have seen it where they still hang it their own way anyway, and maybe they just liked it better that way, whatever. But if you have attached a hanger, it shows your customer how to hang it as well. I'm gonna have to pull my hair up because I'm hot. Now we should hang a little better. Oh yeah. Now my bow is in the right position. Let me get my hair off. Whew. My hairdresser, she cringes when I make my hair coloring appointment because my hair is so thick and I take up so much color. It takes her forever to apply to my roots. And I really need to go, but I've been contemplating growing my hair out and, going au naturel with the gray. So we'll see how long I can stand it before I actually go get it cut. All right. Now, the only filler that I brought, because this is more of a natural design, I don't fill it with a whole bunch of stuff. As far as baubles and stuff like that, I'm going to use some very simple filler green. It also has the glitter on it that kind of mimics a frost, and little tiny frosted pine cones. These came from Hobby Lobby. And then I got 2 mittens, or a pair of mittens, and an owl, which on the owl, I've already pulled off this part. I don't want that part on there. And they match the baby it's cold outside sign. And then we're going to make a simple bow out of the 4-inch buffalo plaid fringe edge ribbon. And I brought over some of these all silver Dollar Tree stars. Now at Dollar Tree, I can get where this styrofoam is white with white glitter and then the silver top, or this color, which is all silver. And I got the all silver. Not sure if I was going to use it, but I got it because on this sign, this is metal. So I thought it might pull that all together. But we may or may not use that, depending. All right, it looks like this piece started to fall apart. But we're going to use it without that other piece. See, right here. We may put this piece in the bow or something, but we're going to leave it off of this. If your tape starts to peel on these and they start to fall apart, just use some floral tape and tape them back down. just like that. So on little picks that we add, they usually come all squished up. So you have to fold them out, fold each branch. You can bend it, give it a little bit of life, just like that. Okay. And then you're going to go through and place these pieces in where filler is needed. And you will have to glue these, but they're super light. So these won't be, these don't require wiring in. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I've got like 4 custom orders going in right now, and I'm going shopping after the live for those orders, and my mind has just been going in 20 different directions. I'm very thankful. All right, so we just glued that one in there. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 pieces, so we have to evenly spread them. We'll probably do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 up top somewhere. And basically that's all it is. You just go through and evenly space things. It's got a little, the piece of wire it was wired on with was unraveling, so I just fix it back. Do the doctoring work as you go. Don't put a piece that's, kind of half falling apart in a wreath. Take the extra time, fix it before it goes in, because inevitably it's gonna come apart. When you open and close a door, it shakes. And if the tape is loose on these pieces, it's gonna shake your pieces. All right. So this one, let's go down here with it. Now, I keep my glue skillet set on about it looks like 330, 335-ish, somewhere around in there. But you don't want your glue to be drippy, thick and gobby. Thick and gobby. Is gobby a word? I know gob is a word, is gobby. I'm from Kentucky, we make up words. I just move pieces around. All these pieces are really heavily wired. It's not flimsy wire, so they stay where you put them. All right. I'm going to be covered head to toe in this fine glitter stuff. I pulled the design, just all the elements last night before I went to bed, and I had to clean myself off before I crawled in bed because I was covered. You can always take some the Krylon and spray over these, and it helps set the glitter so it doesn't come out everywhere. I'm gonna do one more right down here, I think. This one's not, I don't know what it was about this silver tape they had on these, but it's not a real good tape job. So I'm just going to take precautionary measures. Now, to use the floral tape, you have to keep a little bit of tension on it because it stretches the tape and it activates the sticky. Otherwise, it's not going to stick to itself, and you'll have a loose wrapping. So I want my little pine cones to be at the top. So just twist the branches. Ooh, that's so pretty. It's messy, but it's pretty. All right. Excuse sticky from the tape. Now my fingertips are slick with glue. The sanitizer. The alcohol in it cuts through the sticky a little bit. All right. Tape, tape, tape. I'm going to have to tape all of them. All right. So we fluff. And then all right. This one, we're going to go over to this side. So we've put 1, 2, 3 in here. We're going to put 2 in here, and then we'll figure out where the third one needs to go after we get a little further along. We'll use it to kind of fill in. So this side needs to be fluffed just a little bit. Just stand back and look. You want to make sure when you're fluffing this base piece that you're getting a good line to the outside of your grapevine here. Now remember, these are for these right here. These 3 are for the bow, kind of to have a back. And we can put another piece in there to fill in if need be. Let's take this next piece and we're going to go right in there. So you see there's it's kind of sparse right in through here. So we're going to fill in with this. It's not that my glue is drippy. It's so gloppy, gloopy that my fan just strings it, blows across it and strings it. Okay, so let's put this right here. And then you can take the branches, kind of pull them and mix them together so it looks more natural that way. It's just driving me crazy. Another. Lord, where is this little glitter stuff from? Hobby Lobby. It is. I'm sorry, I didn't give the number. I don't remember which number is needed. I think it's this one, the 5804000. They come back in the Christmas pick section. And they were $2.99, but you know, with the discount, I don't know what that worked out to be. Did you fix it, baby? No, is it dead in the water?
Well, here's the problem. Whatever staples you put in there, they're stuck to the thing, and that's why you're not able to get them to punch out.
Okay.
Whatever staples you used in there, or they won't even slide forward.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to come say hi to the ladies?
Hi, ladies.
This is my husband, JC. He used to do lives with me. For those of you who watched me, you know, over the past 3 years.
We're the original live couple.
All right, we'll just toss it, I guess, if it's toast. We'll
No,
just
it's not toast. It's
pick
just
up another one.
We'll be by Home Depot, I reckon.
Maybe you and the boys can do that while I'm at Trees and Trends. There, JC and the boys are going to go with me to shop this afternoon. And
You shop,
yeah, I shop and he occupies the boys. And for us, because we're so rural to shop, we have to drive an hour. So we kind of make it a day outing. We grab food while we're there. So we're going to get Chick-fil-A because we don't get that here. I live in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. All right, so this next piece, we put one in here. We're going to put the second one in here. And then that'll leave one more that we can fill in with.
I recognize some of these names.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You should. All right.
Sounds familiar.
Katie?
Yeah.
Yeah, she, when we went to convention and I fell in the mulch and face planted, she was standing there with Lori, Hardworking Mom. So yeah, y'all, when we went to convention, the first time that I met Lori and Katie,
Was it 2 years already?
Oh no, 2 years, yeah, 2 years ago. And like Carrie of Hot Mesh, Mom, and there were several of them standing there in a group in the hotel lobby. And there was this, what they had black and white floors. So there'd be a section of black, then some white, a section of black. But then they also had pits full of black mulch with potted plants sitting around the perimeter. So everything in the pit was just black mulch. So I'm walking across the lobby. I see all of the ladies standing across the way, and I'm going to go over and introduce myself. And I'm walking, but my head's up. I wasn't looking at the floor, but you can see out of your peripheral, it looks like a black piece of the floor, right? Not. I stepped into the mulch. I went down on my knees on the hard floor, and it was a very humiliating way to introduce myself to these ladies, but a lot of people fell over that spot that weekend, though. A pregnant girl did. And I noticed before the end of the weekend, though, they had taken the potted plants that were around the perimeter and actually sat them in the middle of it so people wouldn't think that it was a walkthrough. But it was a mess. All right, one last one. Like I said, we'll save it for last. It's probably going to go up here somewhere just so we can bring that element all the way around where we've got greenery. First, or the next thing we need to do though is get our bow on. Yeah, it was a bad spot. I mean, I get their design idea. I like it, but when you've got other black spots in the floor, it was very deceiving. I'm glad they did cover it though. I had issues with that knee actually up until, I don't know, probably 6 or so months ago. The soft part underneath my knee just would always hurt so bad, and I could hardly touch it, after that incident. And that was like almost 2 years. Okay, so this is 4-inch buffalo plaid ribbon with the fringe edge. And we're going to do a very simple bow. I don't remember if I did this bow with you guys before or not. All right, so I had this brand new roll, but it was spliced. So I just took off the spliced part, and that's what I'm working with. I hate when that happens, but fortunately, I think I've got enough to make a good size bow with this. So the bow is going to go right here at 11 o'clock, but it's not a big loopy fancy tail bow. This is just going to be a couple of loops, some nice hanging tails. So let's do, about how much is that? That's about a 12-inch tail. I'm going to pinch. Let's do 14. Now I do different size loops at different times. So what I typically do, I'm just trying to straighten it up here in my hand. Sorry, y'all. What I typically do is I'll do 2 loops and then I will place it up on the piece and see how it fits in the space. Sometimes I may want to go a little smaller. So I go into it having a general idea of the size. I typically always start with 14 inches. But that doesn't mean that I won't adjust them up or down a little bit depending on how my greenery is laying and what have you. So I've got a good 2 loop bow with my tails hanging down on the end. We're going to put that here and just test it. So that looks pretty good. I think we're going to do 2 more loops. The thing about this ribbon is I really can't tell which is the back and which is the front. So I don't think it really matters if you're twisting or not when you're making your bow. But I always do the twist because it just keeps me in the habit of doing it. So when your ribbon is the same front and back, you can twist or not twist. A little bit. So let's just make sure they're still the same length. Okay. Now one more loop, 14 inches. I just measure it, you know, in case I've pulled one a little too far. I just measure it to the one next to it. Okay. So now make sure that your tails are facing down. You've got your 2 loops. I think if I want to do 5, sometimes I just feel less is more when it comes to these kind of bows. I'm just doing 4. Make sure your tails are to the bottom. We're going to take a I can't hold on to anything. Take a zip tie and run it around the center. But we're not going to cinch down on it too hard because we're going to put another one behind it that we can use to attach to the wreath. So just get it a little tight. If you put it on the right way, it helps. I'm just all discombobulated today. There we go. Okay. Put another one behind it so we can attach it to the wreath. And then I cinch down as hard as I can to tighten the bow and cut that piece off. Now, because you're zip tied down, you can really get down at that center point and move your loops and bows around. And I kind of go down there and I twist because it just perks them up, makes them stand up. There we go. Now we're going to cut another tail, or cut this off at about the same as the other tail. Like a kink here. Drive me crazy. There we go. Now take a little piece of this, about yay long. I cut the wire out of it just because it's easier for me. And you're going to run it around the middle of that bow and tie it or glue it. I didn't cut it long enough because I want another set of tails out of that piece of ribbon. So this one I'm going to just fold over and glue. If you cut a piece long enough, you can just tie it in the back. That part goes to the wreath. It's not ever seen. But because I'm trying to use that piece that was spliced to my roll, and not cut any more off my roll, I'm just going to use this small piece and we'll glue it. My fingers are kind of tempered from working with hot glue because I do a lot of grapevines, but you might want to use some silicone fingertips if you're gluing and you have issues with sensitive fingers. So I pull, when I'm gluing, I make sure I pull it really tight, okay? And I hold it down so it adheres really good. It takes a minute for that to get real good and dry. Fan and glue strings. If you're like me and you have to have a fan on when you're working because your area is hot and you get all these glue strings, at the end when you get your piece made, just take a hair dryer on high and just go over it. It'll melt all those glue strings and they'll disappear. Because sometimes because of my fan, I end up with just glue strings everywhere. And they're hard to, just sit and pick off. Okay, I think that's, no, it's still pretty tacky. I think I'll be fine with it though. We'll go ahead and put it on. Okay, now take the extra zip tie that we put on. Make a little nest for your bow. We're gonna come right in here with it. I can pull it down. Go in, go in. All right, once it's on, cut the back and tuck it in. Now you just take your bow and form it around your greenery pieces. See, there's a little piece that's got a ball on it. We didn't want it hiding behind the bow. And my bow is kind of crooked, so I need to turn it just a little bit so it's laying the right way. There we go. Better. All right, then there was a little piece that fell out from, remember this piece that we put back here? I broke my nail. That we'll probably put right in there to kind of fill in the bow area. So let's go ahead and do that. When I do a bow like this, because they're the way I place them and the way I like to do the greenery, you know, back to hold up the leaves, you can always see a little bit of the grapevine here. So I just put in a little piece of filler like that that kind of masks that a little bit. See? Just like that. Perfect. Broke my nail, y'all. Do y'all do that? If you break your nail, just trim it off even. Otherwise, you're going to break it worse. Okay. See, now I won't break it worse. Okay. Let's see. We do need this other piece behind. Remember, we have to tape these because the tape on them is really poor and we don't want it to come apart. Thank you, Rachel. I mean, you know, the big loopy bows with the long flowy tails, they are perfect for some designs. But this baby, it's cold outside. I felt like because of the buffalo plaid, it was just it needed to go simpler. And when I go simple, these are my go-to bow. Sometimes I do the 4 loops. Sometimes I'll do 6 loops, so 2 on the bottom and then 1 on the top. It just depends on how much coverage and density I'm looking for. So because the greenery that I've placed on here is kind of loose and airy, and what I mean by loose is you can see pockets, you know, down into the grapevine. It's not real dense where you can't see any of the grapevine. So because the design overall is kind of a loose and airy design, I want a bow that's not dense. It needs to be loose and airy as well. So that's why I choose this kind of bow for something like this. Okay, so this piece, once we get all the pine cones turned around, is going to go right back here, I think. And that'll be the finishing to the back of the bow. Now, if we were doing, you know, a big loopy bow with long tails, the back would be just as dense and as high as around the sides. But that is not this design. All right, so for this one, instead of flat and weaving in with the grapevine, I'm going to go straight down in kind of at an angle here and kind of weave in that way. And the reason I'm going to do that is because the way you place it into the grapevine greatly affects how it lays on your wreath and how much you can bend it to move it where you want. So if you already place it in the best possible position, then you get the most movement out of it. So I go straight down in, just like that. Okay. Now, let's see. We got these. Maybe we should probably work on the side. You do too, Lori? You like those kind of bows? I think they're just timeless. You know, these are the kind of bows that were used, you know, way back when, before people knew to do big loopy stuff. It's just, you know, I don't know. It's what resonates with me, and I design with them a lot. All right, so the sign, we're going to put kind of at an angle right here. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that, because it's really hard to place the other bigger elements when your sign's not there. And typically I'll do my sign, you know, way early on, but because of the stapler, I held off. So now we're going to do it a little later in the process, which is fine. All right, so I use cable timeouts and E6000 mostly, if I can find it. Here it is back here. And because I work with mainly florals, instead of buying a lot of floral pins, I just cut the ends off of the pieces I use. And I save these things for stirs. I bend them in half and make floral pins out of them, you know, and use them that way. So it just saves me a little bit of money doing it that way. Rachel, I think I got this at Walmart last year. And I got it so late in the season, I ended up halting on Christmas stuff, but I just could not do anything with it this year. Okay, so when we place our sign, we actually hold it up to our base and figure out where it's going to lay. And then we find out where it's going to connect with the grapevine. So that shows us where we need to place our mounts. So since we're going to have it at a little angle here, and I do it directly at an angle to this one. So because this is a square sign, my corner to corner, I'm going to line up with the center of my bow. That gives a nice focal line. So that means right here and right here. Okay. Where else did I say? Right here. Closer to the edge. All right, once I get the adhesive or the cable tie mounts on, then I take my E6000. And as you can see, there's a gap. I just fill in that gap. I squeeze a little bit out onto my stick. I don't know if you guys can see this. And then I just take and I push it down into that gap and make sure that it's overlapping onto the black part. And not one time have I ever had a cable tie mount come off, and my pieces reside in Arizona and Texas, and none of them have ever had any problems. So you'll get conflicting evidence or, you know, opinions from all designers on what their preferred method of attaching cable tie mounts are. And, you know, I just say whatever works for you, but I've never had an issue with doing them this way. Now, typically I let them set for about 15 or 20 minutes after I put this on to give it time to start to set, but it takes a full 24 hours for it to completely cure and set. But you can, you know, use whatever you've put it on in about 15 minutes. It'll be set enough that it's not going to pull itself off. Y'all are looking at the back of my head, aren't you? I'm so sorry. This was a bad place to choose to do this part. I'll hold it up here for you. I could just squeeze it straight from the tube on, but it actually uses a lot more product than I need. And I need this little stick so I can push it up under that lip there. One more little piece and we're done. So let that set for a minute or two. Let me wipe the tip of this off. I'm a fanatic hand washer, guys. I'm sorry. I cannot stand having dirty hands. Okay. So the other third element that I had was this little guy right here. And I don't know if you remember last week at the Magnolia design, I said I had this that had the little nest attached to it. So I actually detached the nest, and I'm going to use the nest in this. I will use this in another design somewhere down the road because it's just too gorgeous not to. All the tags cut off of these pieces. These are super light styrofoam ornaments. I'm just going to poke a stick in the bottom and stick them right into the wreath that way. So, you know what? Maybe I'll use these. Maybe I can cut these. These are real solid. I'm going to try to use these. Ow! Whew. I need 3. Holy cow. I don't know that I want to try cutting another one. That was brutal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is figure out where we're going to place these, and then I'm going to take this, shove it into the styrofoam, because this is just styrofoam, and this will go right in, put a little glue on it, and then we'll stick it into the wreath that way. So when you're working with elements of 3, you put them in a triangle formation. So we're going to try to figure out which triangle or where we want to make that triangle. When I have my bow at 11 o'clock, I tend to go with a standard placement of 1 here, and 1 down here. These are supposed to be a set of mittens, so I'm wondering if I shouldn't maybe combine them somehow. And then put our little guy over there. Or if I should try just individual. I'm really kind of liking, I think, the 2, but I don't like this on it. But let's peel this off. And look, we were able to do that without really damaging the mitten. That's awesome. Okay. So we could do something like that. Does that look like a pair of mittens? I think so. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to affix these together by, so I took this one piece off. We're going to lay this one on top so it looks like a set of mittens, we're going to put them together. I'm going to go down into my little trusty jar here and find some of the shorter pieces that I've cut. Just a couple, like little short pieces. Then I'm going to use those to attach the two pieces. I think. Do I like the thumbs pointing the same way? Yeah, that looks weird. How does it look best? Like that, I think. Okay. I'm going to put a little glue on. Then I'm going to take those little pieces and just stick them right in. Well, that was the thick end. Maybe that's not going to go in. There we go. Let's do a second one just for added strength. Okay. See? Just got a couple stuck in there. That's what we're going to attach the two pieces together with, just like this. Yep. Get a little glue. I'm sure you could probably find these already attached in a set. I have seen some out there, I think, when I was scrolling on Google. But if you can't find them as a pair, just hook them together. All right. I'm gonna let that set for a minute and solidify. Now we get to work on how we're gonna attach this guy. So we're gonna put the mittens down here. We're gonna put this guy up there. So I think to do that, this is what we do. Yeah. So I'm gonna take, first I'm gonna get all this tape off of it because it's peeling. As you see, I'm reusing things, pieces that probably some would call trash, but I saved these wire stems from our project last week, and I'm reusing them this week for the mechanics of another project. So don't throw your stuff away. And if you don't have room to store it, just throw it in a plastic tub. You never know what you're going to need it for. I found these cute little containers at the Dollar Tree that I usually keep my cable mounts in. I keep mini zip ties in. So you can find, affordable containers. So I'm going to take and bend this a little. Not cutting it. I'm just bending it like this. Okay. The reason I'm doing that is so I can stick it through my little thing here. But I've got a hook to hook it in. think we're good. Perfect. So now this thing doesn't move. It's not going anywhere. And we have a way to insert that into the wreath right up here. I'm going to have to take it off. So I've got a little bit of room to push real hard. Let's see what we can do with that. You may have to play with placement a little bit. And move. Oh, crap, I pulled it out. I need to glue that in. That's what I forgot to do. It's in like a corkscrew, and I just basically twisted the corkscrew out. So I got to glue it. All right. We're almost done, guys. This isn't going to take much longer. Casey, you went back and fixed your grapevine. You need to find more ribbon for one spot. I can feel you. I feel that pain. I'll take a look at it. I'm anxious to see it. Did you post a before and an after? All right, I think that's good and dry now. So let's try this one more time. Sometimes it's like threading a needle. Impossible. There we go. I think that's good. Now let's see how high the owl sits there before we glue it, in case we might need to move it. I want it to move my bow. Oh, isn't he adorable? Okay, you're right. It will be the before because you're not officially done. Oh, he's so cute. Hey, baby.
Hey.
The kid's getting restless. Just a little.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You good?
Little one that's supposed to come up the middle. There we go.
I think your cousin's making chili tonight.
Who, Derek?
Yeah. He's asking if yeah, what we're doing there.
No. I mean, we're going to Paducah. We're going to be there till the shop's closed, so I don't think we'll be back by dinner time.
That's why I told him, I was like, I don't think anything, but wasn't sure what you had, so.
Yeah. I mean, if it had been any other day, it would have been an immediate yes, but today we've got to go. And because it's a day trip, basically, we'll be there all evening. I don't really like him there, but let's get everything else on and we'll figure it out. Let's go ahead. I think our sign's good to go. So let's get some wire. He's adorable, isn't he, Rachel? He was the only one in the bin too, and he was at the bottom. And I'm like, it was meant to be because I dug to the bottom. It was meant to be for me to find him, and he had to come home. So he had to come home with me. So I'm just using floral wire. You can use pipe cleaners. You can use zip ties. Okay. Now typically I'll attach my sign starting at the top, but oh, we might need one in there now that I'm looking at it. I didn't even consider that. Yeah, I'm going to add one more. Hang on, guys. Just because it's a heavy wooden sign, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. So it's a funny shaped box, but I'm going to put one down here on the inside anyway and run it that way because I don't want this to come off. One second. I don't have to wait for this one to dry because it's just the third anchor point and there's not going to be stress on it. But I am going to reinforce it with the E6000 and it'll cure just like the others and it'll be fine. My kids go back to school Monday, y'all. I'm so excited because I'll actually get more work done here in the shop. I have two kids, one in middle school, one in elementary school. They both use two different platforms and all of the programs are different. And the 8-year-old I have to sit with for the whole 6 hours that he does work via his online Teams meeting classes. So, you know, during the school day, I literally am parked on the couch with kid here, doing all kinds of homeworks. So I am looking forward to being able to come back out here and getting some therapy in. Do any of y'all have kids that have been on homeschool or grandkids that have been on homeschool? How are they doing? My kids want to be back in school. They miss their friends. They actually miss their teachers and they do better. I realized I am not an elementary school teacher. All right. Yeah, better. Okay. Yep. So I'm going to attach this top one first. Yep, that's what mine is, Rachel, a third grader. And yeah, he, I have to, you know, basically the teacher records the video, but he just doesn't pay attention to the video. So then we start on the work and he'll be like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, she just told you how to do it. And then we have to rewatch the video. And then I have to watch the video because then I have to be able to tell him what to do because he doesn't watch the video. And it's just, So teachers, in my opinion, are just way underpaid. Oh, you got the every other day? I had seen that, you know, some places were doing the every other day. I thought that was interesting and a great way to cycle through the kids, keep them all in school, but without having a bunch there at one time. I thought that was brilliant. Unfortunately, cases are surging here in our area, and you know, the health department had shut us down 2 weeks ago. They started this year in-person school, and then our cases surged for a little bit, so they shut us down for 2 weeks, and now we're at the end of that 2 weeks and getting ready to go back. So, oh yeah, Rachel, YouTube. I feel you. Yeah, I woke up the other morning and my 14-year-old was already on his laptop or his school laptop, get no less, getting on YouTube in his bedroom, and I'm like, whoa, Nelly, what are you doing? I really regulate their online activity, and YouTube is no place for kids, in my opinion. All right, so I've got the sign on. I'm going to cut the excess wire off the back and go ahead and tuck it into the grapevine. If you don't like the way that looks, you can totally come back and put a little piece of moss over it and cover it that way. Whoops, that one did come off a little bit because I am hasty. So I should have just done the sign first. So when I get this done, guys, I'm going to take the sign off and I'm going to go back and redo it and let it set properly so it sets up right. But to get through the design, we're going to go ahead and roll with it. I'm not going to cut any more of those wires off, though, because I'll need them. So, go on the hook. There we go. All right. So we got our sign on there. See, how adorable is that? I'm going to let my ribbon hang over the edge. I like to soften the edges of signs with the elements that I've used in the wreath. So by bringing the edges of the ribbon or pieces of the greenery over on top, that helps. Next, I think we can add our mittens. Yeah, they're dry. So let's get a hole made for this. There we go. Okay. There we go. That's our handmade pair of mittens. You feel the same about YouTube? Yeah, it's you follow one link and then you end up in a place you shouldn't be. And you know, sometimes it's not intentional, but you know, I'm terrified of the internet for my children. All right, so where do we want to put these? If we're putting little Mr. Owl up here, we can put our mittens right about here, I think. Yeah, I think that's good. I like that. Mittens right about there. I need to oil my chair. It squeaks. So I'm just lining elements up. If I place something here, I'm going to bring something directly across from it. There we go. I do have one more piece of the greenery that I'm going to go in and fill in with. Hi, Katie. I was talking about you earlier, about the black pit of death at convention a couple of years ago. How I made my great introduction to you and Lori. humbling experience. All right. So now we just got to get him glued in. I had pulled the excess greenery off of his tail here because it was too much. So I need to find something to cover that. I thought I had saved the little pine cones that I pulled off of him, but maybe I didn't. Let me look here. Here. Yeah, right here. So I saved the little pieces that I pulled off of him, so I could take the pine cones and put them back here. Yeah, right. Your ears were ringing. The fall heard around the world. Oh, Lord. At least it was you guys, and you guys laughed it off with me and made me feel really good. So I appreciate y'all. So because it needs to lay flat, I just took my scissors and trimmed off the edges so I can glue it on below this one. See? And then he's okay. And then he's all doctored up. So there you go. So I took the yucky decor part of him off and made him cute. So there. Yep. So again, we're going to do we're gonna take a little pick him up the butt, and glue him in. That sounded horrible. Pick him on the bottom. Just like that. Then I'm going to take my glue gun and give a good coating of the stem and the base of the owl because he's going to sit in the nest. Just like that. I'm going to hold him down, press him down in there so he gets a good grip on that. Okay, so here's what we've got so far. Now, I said we typically work in threes when we're adding embellishments, or at least odd numbers, okay, starting with 3. So we put these 2 together. That technically makes it 1. So we still got 1 and 2. Now we're using greenery that has these balls attached to it. And I did have an extra piece. So we're going to cut some pieces off of this with these big ones. Make another pick, and it's going to go back here to keep the shape and give another grouping of the buffalo plaid to count as our 3rd. So it'll be like here, here, here. It's a small triangle, but still a triangle, okay? So you don't have to make your triangles way out here. They can be small. I wanted it to be kind of dainty and airy, just kind of floating down and more condensed up here. All right, let's see how we can cut this down. If you have to cut it all the way apart, just take the individual pieces and place them together. So down here at the bottom is where the big balls are. So we're going to take those 2 pieces. And probably those. Where's my tape? Thank you, Katie. Appreciate that, girl. I never taught grapevines until I started in here. I think this is what my 4th or 5th. Yeah, so I didn't teach grapevines until I started in here. So I'm a little rusty. All right, so until I get the pick made, I kind of pull everything up together and I get the stems lined up at the height that I want. Okay, and then I need this one there, and this one. I can tie in up here, I think. Okay, so I've got them kind of grouped like this, one coming off to the side, a little up, and then some going this way. And if you look, when I place it in, that's going to fill in and keep the shape of the wreath, but also draw your eye that there's buffalo plaid up here as well. We're going to tape that down. So just gather them really tight. Whoops. All right. So let's get this one glued in. Y'all know I got to get my step stool because it's on the top. And 5'10" just ain't tall enough in this shop, I guess. All right. So again, because it's on the top, I'm going straight down in. Okay, now this one came off of it too, but it's already got the wire on it because that's how they actually attach it to those pieces. They just twist the wire around and then tape it down. So this one I'm actually going to rewrap around a piece back here because that's where I wanted it, not where they said it should go. Boom. I just wrap it around the spine, kind of going between the pine needles the best you can. I mean, if you see the way that they do it, it's really, you know, just wired in there loosely. All right, so like that. Woo. Awesome sauce. Let me look, and I think you just add the filler. This needs to come in a little. And a little. Just like that. Perfect. Now fill in a little bit over here. Just going to pull these pieces all the way apart and finish using this last of the spray and fill in a little bit of sparse places over on the other side. What happens is because we place the bow at 11 o'clock, this side tends to get a little fuller than this. And we also place the two mittens here. So this side's full, this side's a little sparse, and it needs a little love. So we're just going to take the little pieces and go in and fill in. Again, I'm going to save these really strong steel spines because they're really good for the mechanics. Okay, so I got 2 longer pieces here with a ball on it and a shorter piece with the ball. So I think we're going to do the shorter piece right in here because it kind of fills in, and then we'll do that piece back here. And then we'll have, I think, pretty good coverage of the little buffalo plaid balls on the garlands that we use. We'll have an even dispersion around the wreath, I believe. And this one on the outside. All right. Let's look at it. What do we think? What do we think? I think it's absolutely adorable. Adorable. So play with this a little bit more. They're so pokey. There we go. Maybe I like that better. Yeah. There we go. Gorgeous. All right. Woo! There we go. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Glitter, glitter everywhere. Does anybody have any questions? All right, so this is an 18-inch grapevine base. It was one that was kind of not so pretty, and even with a haircut, it still didn't look real pretty. So in those cases, we want to try to cover it as much as possible. For this project, I chose the 2 big garlands that had the frosted buffalo plaid and the frosted berries. And I chose coordinating buffalo plaid mittens that bring in the theme from the sign. We have a buffalo plaid owl to kind of, bring in more elements of the buffalo plaid. And then we used 4-inch fringed edge ribbon for the simple bow. Oh, thank you, ladies. I really like it. I do. This is something probably I would put on my door. This is kind of my style. The natural, loose, airy, rustic. That's me. That's what I like. You can totally, if you wanted to dress this up more, and if you wanted to do the big loopy bows with tails, do the same design. Just do the loops that you want up here. Swoop, kind of loop your tail down here and attach it, and then do some long flowy tails. Maybe add one more piece of greenery here that matches, and then you'll have, a whole round design. So it really just depends on what you have available for supplies, how much money you want to put into it, as to how far you take it. So, I mean, you can go further, add more to this, but I'm not going to because I like it the way it is. All right, lovelies. Well, if there are no questions, I think I'm going to hop off here so I can go get some shopping done. It's been really good hanging out with y'all on this glorious Friday. If y'all do think of any questions that you have, just drop them down below. I do check in from time to time to see if anybody, has asked me anything, and I'll answer them. If not, I guess I will see you ladies on Friday next week. Have a good one.